A family worth $1.4 trillion, a house larger than an entire country, a yacht worth the entire healthcare budget of a nation. Do you think you've seen all the wealth in the world? Forget Elon Musk. Because there are families who don't need to accumulate wealth they are born into. Power. Not CEOs, not presidents. They are kings. They are the law. They are the pinnacle of the pyramid that the world dares not touch. Join us as we explore the wealthiest royal families on the planet, where every breath is worth millions of dollars. The house that owns a country, the trillion-dollar story of Al Saud. If Europe has Rothschild and the US has Rockefeller, then the Middle East needs only one name, Al Saud. It is not just a royal family. They do not live in a country, they own it. The story begins on a scorching morning. In the desert, a drill bit struck an underground oil vein, and from that earth, power began to rise. Colorless, odorless, but more valuable than gold. Each barrel of oil turned into dollars, and each member of the royal family became a billionaire. Not in the way Elon Musk builds an empire, but in this way, the world suddenly belonged to them. Today, this family has over 15,000 members. But not all are equal. A few hundred live like gods, with private jets, personal budgets, and bodyguards trained like special forces. They don't need a parliament. They can issue orders with a glance. The family's total wealth, over $1.4 trillion, is more than the GDP of most countries on this planet, and they spend money like modern-day kings. Crown Prince MBS, dubbed the CEO of Saudi Arabia, once purchased Chateau Louis XIV Castle near Versailles. But this isn't a traditional mansion. It has its own moat, real gold statues, and an entire fountain system controlled by an iPhone. Price? $300 million. But for MBS, it's just a place to spend the weekend. And when he needs a little sea breeze, MBS steps aboard the Serene, a 134-meter yacht with a private cinema, helicopter landing pad, and even a submerged dining room. Price, $500 million. But the feeling's still not luxurious enough. What about King Salman? He lives in Al Yamama Palace, a fortress in the desert where every brick was imported from Italy. The meeting rooms are covered in hand-embroidered silk, and the US military has installed a bug-proofing system in every wall. They say that as soon as he enters the room, everyone bows their heads. But it's not just about houses and yachts. This family has a collection of supercars whose exact number is unknown. It is rumored to exceed 500, from the Lamborghini Veneno to the Rolls-Royce Sweptail, each engraved with the name of a prince. And Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. King Salman is not just the head of the kingdom. He also holds the title of custodian of the two holy mosques, a position of special significance in the Islamic world. However, the one leading the country's major transformations is Crown Prince MBS, who serves as Minister of Defense and Chairman of the Public Investment Fund, one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds, with over $700 billion in assets. Under MBS, Saudi Arabia is undergoing rapid change from oil to technology, from isolation to entertainment, from desert to global stage. He has invested in Uber, Lucid, and Twitter. He even created his own golf tournament to compete directly with the US. But all power comes at a price. In November 2017, the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh suddenly closed its doors. No one was allowed inside. Inside, over 200 princes, billionaires, and businessmen were detained without trial or warning. A massive anti-corruption campaign launched by MBS himself, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, once dubbed the Warren Buffett of the Middle East, had his phone confiscated and was completely isolated. He was only released after agreeing to transfer most of his assets to the state. Following the incident, some royal family members fled the country. Some princesses were placed under house arrest, but no one dared to speak out because this was no longer the old royal family. This was a new empire, an empire where blood, money, and power were no longer separate but one. And the question is, if you were born into that family, would you become a leader or the one who controls the world? Leave your thoughts below. If the Al Saud family owns an entire nation, there is another family turning an entire nation into a stage for their own power. Welcome to the world of Al Maktoum, where every skyscraper is a death, silent declaration. The untouchable power of the Dubai royal family. Some families are born to rule, but there is one family born to redefine power. Not through war, not through votes, only through blood. That is the Al Maktoum family. The people who transformed Dubai from a desert fishing village into a global symbol of luxury and ambition. In the midst of the modern world, they still live like an ancient dynasty. The British court confirmed that he had kidnapped, stalked, and used every tool of power to keep his family silent. At that moment, the whole world seemed to wake up. There are families whose power is built with concrete and light. But there are also families whose power is invisible. It can only be felt. And that is when the ultimate question arises. If there is a family where every brick in the city belongs to them, every road leads to them, every plane bears their mark, then who will check? That power or no one at all? And when power doesn't need words, doesn't need oil or artificial islands, just existence. That is Windsor. An empire that doesn't boast, but makes the world listen in silence. Windsor, the empire that never speaks. There are families born to rule, but only one family makes the entire world believe they have always been there, unchanging, eternal, and transcending the laws of time. The Windsor family did not create England. They are the ones who make the world believe that England is something that can never be lost. While American tycoons flaunt their wealth and Arab princes race supercars across the desert, the Windsor family chooses silence. A silence so precious, it's almost tangible, like a silk curtain worth a London apartment, or an afternoon tea prepared with the precision of an ancient ritual. And it is in this silence that their power speaks. On the green hills of Scotland, Balmoral Castle lies hidden behind a mist of fairy tales. But this is not a palace. It is the private heart of the royal family. Queen Elizabeth once called it the Provitanity, dearest home in the world. But the true value isn't in the $140 million price tag. It's in the things that can't be measured. The sorrow hidden behind oak doors, the tears left on windowsills, and the decisions that shape generations. Have you ever wondered, can a castle shelter a soul? But what is precious is not the money. It is the memories that cannot be bought with anything. Where kings have cried, where final letters were written, where power was laid down in a single rainy afternoon. Not far away is Sandringham House, where the royal winter isn't measured by the cold, but by the number of times the entire family gathers. Every chair is carved from century-old wood, every curtain handcrafted by Italy's finest weavers. There are no price tags, only tradition. But if you think royalty only resides in quiet castles, look at how they move. When the official cherry red Bentley appears, no one asks the price, because it's not a car, it's a throne on wheels. Custom built for royal ceremonies, it is rolled out for coronations, state funerals, and moments that changed empires. It doesn't need to be fast, just majestic. And then there's the BAE 146 aircraft. No glitter, no glamour, but specially modified for royal duties. A flying nest, where meetings with prime ministers, presidents, and heads of state take place in absolute privacy. And the royal train, a train reserved exclusively for royalty. Inside are oak beds, silver, bathtubs, and desks where decisions that rewrote history were made with purple ink. What do you see in all of that? Cars, planes, trains, or an empire that doesn't need to show off? Because its very existence is a statement. On paper, King Charles III has no executive power. Yet every week, the British Prime Minister must meet with him behind closed doors, with no recordings or documents. No one knows what they discuss. Only after these meetings do. Policies shift, public opinion sway, And the world sometimes must listen. That is soft power. A. Strength rooted in tradition, from rituals repeated over centuries to the point of becoming part of a nation's DNA. Is there any power greater than a silent nod? But behind that perfect facade, cracks are becoming increasingly visible. When Prince Harry and Meghan left the royal family, no one thought they would appear on American television, revealing the dark corners of the palace: accusations, tears, and an entire dynasty suddenly pulled down from its mythical pedestal. Then came Prince Andrew, once standing alongside world leaders, now stripped of all his titles, duties, and public memory, following a personal scandal that sent shockwaves around the world. And perhaps the deepest wound of all, Princess Diana. A broken marriage, a love triangle, a race through the streets of Paris that ended in tragedy. The whole world cried, but the crown must remain in place. The Windsor family is not a fairy tale. They are a living chronicle, with all the glory and darkness that comes with it. A family born to carry the traditions, history, and beliefs of tens of millions of people. And the most luxurious thing they possess is the ability to exist in silence, in ritual, under the gaze of the entire world, without needing to prove anything. Do you think a family like the Windsors can endure forever in a world that changes every day? Or will there come a time when even the crown is tested by its own silence? And then, as the light of the West begins to fade, there is a kingdom in Southeast Asia quietly holding on to its crown with gold, diamonds, and absolute power. Meet the Sultan of Brunei, a man who doesn't need to prove anything because his silence is the law. The impregnable empire of the Sultan of Brunei. Some families hold power through politics. Others become wealthy through business. But only one family has passed down both power and wealth like blood. The House of Bolkiah. In a remote corner of Southeast Asia, Brunei seems too small to attract the world's attention. But behind its lush forests and tranquil rivers lies a monarchy that could make even superpowers take notice. At its heart is a man who lives as if the law was written just to serve him. It is rumored that his fortune lies somewhere between $20 and $30 billion. But in truth, no one knows for sure. For in this kingdom, there is no boundary between national assets and the personal wealth of the Sultan. He is not just a king. He is the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, the one who controls everything from the budget to the final prayers of each day. And when someone like that wants to build a house, he doesn't call it a house. He calls it Istana Nurul Iman, the largest palace on the planet. A white marble fortress with 1,788 rooms, 5 swimming pools, 257 bathrooms, and a mosque that can hold 1,500 people. Versailles may be the symbol of France, but when standing next to Istana Nurul Iman, it looks like an unfinished demo. However, the palace is only the tip of the iceberg. On the ground, he owns more than 7,000 cars. Some have never been mass-produced, made exclusively for him: gold-plated Ferraris, diamond-encrusted Rolls-Royces, Bentleys upholstered with leather imported from the desert. Some ask who needs so many cars? But for Sultan Bolkiah, they are not a means of transportation. They are a statement. When he leaves the ground, he does not fly business class. He rules the skies in a gold-plated Boeing 747, where even the sink is made of 4-carat gold, and the ceiling is encrusted with crystal. The seats are hand-stitched by Europe's finest craftsmen. No one calls it an airplane. They call it a flying palace. And if the ground and the sky become too small, he glides across the oceans on his private yacht, over 160 meters long and worth over $500 million. Inside is a 7-star floating hotel exclusively for royalty. It features a mini cinema, a dance floor, a restaurant, and a helipad. And whenever the yacht docks, it's not just a destination, it's a ceremony, a place where even billionaires are just guests waiting to be invited on board. But no fairy tale lasts forever. In the 1990s, the king's younger brother, Prince Geoffrey, stunned the world with his extravagant lifestyle, thousands of cars, 5 yachts, dozens of mistresses, and spending up to $1 million a day. Finally, when the country's finances collapsed, the king was forced to take his own brother to court to recover his assets. A major crack appeared in the seemingly impenetrable image of the royal family, and the world began to ask, behind all the glitz, is something breaking? However, Brunei continues to bow down before him because he doesn't need the media. No, words were needed, just existence. And everyone understood real power doesn't need to be seen, because it's the air we breathe. They don't just own wealth, they shape the world with diamonds, with laws, with silent nods. From Al Saud to Windsor, from Dubai to Brunei, each family is an empire. No need for elections, no need for promotion. Just exist, and everything around them must move. But the ultimate question is, in a world changing every day, will that hereditary power endure forever? Or will there come a time when that very silence is exposed to the light of the modern age? Leave your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this silent yet undeniable portrait. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more stories about the world's wealthiest, most powerful, and most mysterious individuals. Thank you for watching.